Come here, buddy. Look at you, little cutie. Oh, bonk. Bonk, bonk. Fight it, fight it.
Earlier today he did that, but he slid right into the door. I was like, ooh. Hello, you guys. Welcome to my channel. I am doing a fun video. I hope it'll be fun, but we will be purchasing a Monstera Deliciosa that is not doing very well from Home Depot and rehabbing it. So hopefully we can turn it into this big, beautiful plant. I really hope so. We will see. If you guys didn't know, or you haven't bought a plant from a big box store like Home Depot or Lowe's, they always overwater their plants, and then because they're all so close together, that damp soil is the perfect place for fungus gnats. And you can ask my husband, we already have a fungus gnat problem. I don't want any more in my house, so we are gonna nip this in the butt just like right away. Hello! Okay, I am back. Just fumbling with my keys. So I just got the Monstera. This is it right there. I really wish I would have brought like my husband's truck or something because I got dirt everywhere in the back of my car, and I'm pretty sure I broke some leaves like trying to get it in. But hopefully it'll be okay. I did ask for a discount just because it's so beaten up, and the guy said yes. He gave me $10 off. So it was originally $88, and I ended up paying $85 in total, even with the $10 off discount, just because I bought like a tray to go with it. Just because I bought a tray to go with it. So anyways, now we'll take it home. Oh, it comes with a sprayer. It made a huge mess of the car. Okay, I thought I'm gonna get the I think this leaf broke. We've got the plant in the house. We just sprayed it off with a hose outside. Hopefully that would have removed any type of like pest that was holding onto the leaves. Also helped to clean them, get any of the dirt or dust off of them too, which will help the health of the plant. The next part that we're gonna do is a little bit painful, but just bear with me. So this guy has some, I don't know if you can make it out here, but some brown spots with yellowing around the edges, which is a sign of a fungus. We don't really want that. That can kill the plant. So I've got some sanitized scissors here, and I'm actually gonna go around to all the leaves. I'm gonna cut them off. Not the leaves off, but I'm gonna cut the yellow and brown spots off. So I'll start right here and get like this little piece here. Just making sure that I'm cutting well into the green. Again, it seems kind of backwards, like right, we want to save this plant, and obviously these leaves will never be the same, but this is just a surefire way to help combat that fungus. So I'm just going to make some cuts. So like these spots right there, you know, that just could possibly be fungus, and we don't want that. So I'm just chopping it off. Like this whole section right here, honestly, I'm just gonna chop it. Sorry, plant. It'll look really funny, and eventually this leaf will most likely die, which is okay because it's ugly. But when new leaves come in, we don't want this fungus to spread to them at all. Okay, so like this leaf right here looks fine. This is probably our best leaf. Doesn't seem to have any fungus on it, so we're not gonna touch that one. Okay, there's this leaf right here. We've got some fungus spots right there, so I'm gonna chop those as gracefully as I can. I'll clean it up, I promise. And again, I'm just using some sanitized scissors for this. Okay, we'll go up to this leaf next. It's so wonky, I can't make any of them out. Okay, I think this one's fine. So unfortunately, this leaf broke in my care on my way over, so I feel terrible. But I'm just gonna give it a quick chop like that, and we'll throw that away. This leaf is supposed to be a new leaf, but obviously it is not doing well. But luckily, it doesn't have a lot of fungus on it, so we're just gonna chop. Whew, that one just fell off. That one has a big spot right there, so I'm gonna chop that. Okay, then this one, it mainly is the fungus. If you can see that, yeah. So I am just gonna go ahead and chop the bulk of this leaf off. Just don't wanna deal with that. I'm mainly looking for the yellow. If the brown spot like turns into more of a yellow on the outside, that's when I'll cut it off, but I think for now we're okay. So I've put 2 sticky traps in the pot, not 1, but 2. And then we're gonna put some mosquito bits in the soil, just on the top of it. And that will help kill any fungus gnat larva that's living in that soil. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I just take my little scooper and I pour some on the top layer. You want to show that? So I take my scooper and I just put it gently on the top layer. I'm gonna do 2 scoops for this big pot. So fungus gnats have different stages of life. They are larvae, and then there's like a middle stage, and then the adult stage. And if you don't tackle all the stages, then they will never go away. So it's best to use something like the sticky traps to kill the adults, and then something like the mosquito bits to kill the larvae. So just a heads up though, with mosquito bits, they do get moldy. It's not something that'll impact your plants or is super harmful. It's just kind of, it looks gross. So something you can do is you can take a skewer or a chopstick, something along these lines, and then just kind of like mix it into the top layer of soil. So I'll show you how I do that. So again, I'm just taking this chopstick and I'm mixing that top layer of soil. I personally don't mind, but if you need to, like, you can keep mixing in one spot for a little bit longer just to get them like super buried in there. Again, I personally don't care. I'll usually I'll just scrape the mold off, but this way it does kind of bury it just a little bit. Please keep in mind that these are toxic to pets and to humans, so don't eat them. And then if you do have a pet, just like keep an eye on them and make sure it's out of their reach. You don't want your pet to get a hold of these. Another way you can use mosquito bits is you can make like a mosquito bit tea of sorts. So you would take these mosquito bits, put it in like a strainer, and then in a bowl, put water, and then put that strainer in the bowl and let them soak for a little bit. And then you could go ahead and water your plants with that, and it would have just about the same effect. So, okay, so that was all of the care I'm gonna do for this plant tonight. It's been cleaned off, it's been treated for pests, and now we're just gonna let it sit here in this corner. It is by a south-facing window, so it'll get some great light. And then I'm just gonna take care of it how I would the rest of my plants. I'll make sure it gets good lighting, I'll check on its roots, and I'll fertilize it every time I water with the fertilizer that I like to use. It's called Plant Food from Happy House Plants. You should check it out. And we'll just see how this plant does. Hopefully I can rehab it and we can get some big, glorious leaves. Okay, so I'll check back with you guys in a couple weeks or a month. Bye! Hello! It has been about 3 or 4 months since we brought this plant home, and I am going to be doing a little bit of a project on it today. If you can't already tell what I'm gonna do. But before we jump into that, I wanted to give you guys a quick update on the plant. So since we brought it home, it has actually grown 2 new leaves for me. So it's grown this one and this one right here, which are just beautiful, and they grew with secondary fenestrations, which I just love. So that's these middle holes right here. Super fun. And then as you saw earlier when I was at Home Depot, I was worried about this branch right here that was broken off, but what is really cool is that because it broke off right here, it activated some growth points further down the stem. So that's where we get this little leaf from. And then right down here, it is growing a new leaf as well. So keep that in mind, because that has to do with what we're gonna do today. I have decided I don't love how this plant looks in my home. It is just tall and leggy, and I wish it just was more full. But with a plant like this, it's hard to, like, it's already so big, I'd have to get an even bigger pot to add cuttings into. It's just a bit complicated. So I've decided I'm actually going to chop and propagate this plant. So you will see everything you've already seen, plus me chopping the plant today for part 1 of this series, and then part 2 will be me taking care of those propagations and then their journey from there. So we are gonna go ahead and take some cuttings. So we'll start with this one here in the middle. I've already looked over the stems and identified where the growth points are. If you take a cutting without a growth point, you'll get what's called a spent node, and then it'll just be this beautiful leaf that will grow roots and will sit in water, but it won't grow into a full plant. So luckily here I'll be taking a top cutting, so that is a growth point. And then there's little points along the way. We can get B-roll shot or something like that of what that looks like. So I'm going to be taking the cutting right here. Oh, it's so big. I don't know if my shears are big enough for this. But I'm just gonna go ahead and take a cutting. So okay, here is my first cutting. It's huge. I might cut it in half right here. That way I'll have 2 cuttings. If you'll see right here in this spot, I have that little circle. That is my growth point. So a new leaf will grow from there if I cut it right there, but maybe not. I can't decide. I think I'm not going to, because this bottom leaf is most likely going to die. So I need to make sure I have some good roots first. Maybe if I can get some good roots, then I'll chop it later. It's totally an option, but I think for now, I'll just leave it how it is. So I'm gonna set this aside. The bottom of this cutting, I want it to callus over before I stick it in water. So I'm going to set it aside for a couple of hours so that it can callus. Ah, dang it. Oh.
Well, that wasn't very satisfying.
No, my clippers kind of didn't work all the way. They're not thick enough for that. So this is the growth point that from here should grow some new leaves. They won't be as mature as the ones that we just chopped off, but it'll be a great starting point for a whole new plant. So this is what you need to look for. This is what an activated growth point will look like. So hopefully in a few weeks or even a month or two, that is what the other growth points on the other two stems will start to look like. So I think these ones grew in less mature than like how this one is such a baby leaf, because it was very traumatic, and then also because it wasn't growing in the best conditions. So hopefully I can give it better conditions that they won't grow back like that. Like hopefully, here, let me show you. This is a cutting I took of my Monstera that is now battling thrips. And this cutting grew in with fenestrations. I'm not 100% sure what determines when a cutting will or won't grow back with fenestrations. But this plant is very mature, so I'm hoping now that I did this in a controlled environment rather than, you know, this was just a break that happened and then they sat in a store or in a shipping container, something like that. And so I'm thinking that's why it grew back as a very baby leaf, very immature leaf. So hopefully with the right conditions, I can at least get these kind of leaves growing from these growth points, but we'll see. You know, you never know. This was a top cutting, so that might play into why the fenestrations came in, but we'll see. Anyways, that is all for part 1 of this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys are interested in following along with the Home Depot Monstera and just seeing where this plant goes, I guess now it's plants. Now there's 3 plants involved, maybe 4, you know, in part 2 there might be 4. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time in part 2. Have a good day. Bye.